Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Esteban, and in this tutorial, we're going to be creating a full stack CRUD application, and we're going to be building it with React.js, Express, and MySQL database. So in this tutorial, you're going to learn how to apply the CRUD operation in your own project. CRUD stands for create, read, update, and delete. So why learn CRUD? So all the businesses out in the real world, they all use some type of CRUD operation depending of the technology that they use. And if you want to become a web developer, it's super important to learn this skill set. All right, so this tutorial is going to be in two parts. The first part is going to be the front end, which is we're going to be building it in with using React, and that's the user interface that you see. And then also the second part is going to be the backend, which we're going to be building the backend server, which we're going to be using Express, and then connecting it to a MySQL database. All right, and so we're going to be building. Let's just say that you are wanting to do freelancing, right? So you go out to Google and you start searching for local businesses, and then you start seeing that certain businesses, they either need a new website because it's out of date, or you'll be surprised that there's some businesses out there that don't even have websites, so you want to start creating a list. So that's what we have right here. So we have a form where you're going to be adding all the data into the database, and once you hit submit, it's going to be sending that data to the backend. And then once the backend validates that data, that's when it's going to run a query to then input that data into the MySQL database. And then also read, which is we're going to be retrieving that data so that we can display it here in the front end in our web application. And then our update and delete, where we're going to be able to update and delete existing data that's in our database. And so if you like this tutorial, please hit the like button and subscribe. That will help me a lot. And yeah, so that's enough of this intro. So let's get started. All right, we're going to start off by creating two folders. One of them is going to be client and the other one is going to be server. So let's go up to our view tab and then terminal to open up your terminal. And then make sure you're in your folder they're going to be creating your project. So my project, my folder is I'm gonna name it CRUD app. So I already have it created, so I'm just gonna go into that folder. So I'm gonna do cd and then the name of the folder, and then we're gonna create the server mkdir. And then for our client, we're actually going to be running Vite to create our React. So that's what I'm going to be using. Honestly, I always forget the syntax of creating React, so let's just Google it. It's going to be this right here. Spell it right. Okay, and I'm gonna name it client. Hit enter. Make sure you select React and then JavaScript. Okay, so now we need to go inside of our client folder. So do cd client, and then we have to run npm install. And then npm run dev. So this is our link to our app, or our React app. So copy that link, paste it in the browser, and there we go. So we got our React. So you're gonna start opening up your folder, go to your client folder, and then source, and then we have our app.jsx. We're gonna remove all this. Actually, we're gonna remove everything that's inside this, and then delete this one, that. We're also going to delete everything inside index CSS and delete everything inside app CSS. All right, so we're going to start off by creating our add customer component first. All right, so let's just create our file. So right click on source and then new file. Just name it add customer. .jsx. All right, so let's start off by const customer. And then for right now, we're just going to return a div, and let's just return add new customer. Okay, so let's just do an h1 add new customer. All right, do export default add customer. Okay, so we go to our app file, and then we're gonna import that component in here. Add customer, and then we're gonna add it right here. Okay, so we should see it on our, there we go. So we see it here, add new customer. So that means that it's working. Okay, so let's start off with our form. And in our form, we're going to be having four inputs. So we're going to have an input of company name, phone number, address, and website. All right, so let's do our input. This is going to be our company name. And we're just going to copy this 4 times. Alright, so this is going to be phone number. Address. And website. There we go. So right now we're going to be working on our CSS. Okay, it looks a lot better, but at least we can see a form. Okay, so now let's add our button. Okay, and I'm going to open up our developer tools. So we go right click inspect and then go to console here. Okay, so now we're going to be creating a useState variable, and we're going to name it customer data. First we got to import useState, so import useState const. Let's name it customer data and set customer data. And then for our value, we're going to add an empty object, and we're going to be putting company name. Let's make it an empty string. Phone number. Address. And website. Alright, so now we're going to be adding our on change. We're going to name it handle form change. So for now, let's just console log the value. I'm going to do that. We're going to add that in each input. All right, so let's just test it out. Let's put in a company name. There we go. So you can see that our on change is working. Phone number is working. Everything else should work. All right, and our value for each input is going to be our customer data and then dot company name. So customer data dot company name. And we're going to do the same thing for each one. This is going to be the phone number, so it's going to be customer data dot phone number. And address. And then we're also going to be adding our name attribute. Oh, this is phone number. This will be address. All right, so now every time we add a value to each of one of these inputs, we want to add it to our customer data. All right, so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to destruct first. We're going to destructure the e.target. And we're going to return our object. So we're going to spread our previous state. And add our value. Let's just test it out. So we'll just do console.log and then customer data. So let's test it out. Let's just clear this out. There we go. Still on phone number, address, 123 drive. Okay, so address is not working. Website www. Okay, so as we can see here, we have company name, phone number. The address didn't work, so we need to check to see what's wrong. Our website, it did work. So we have address here twice. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Oh, okay, I see. So it seems like we misspelled address here. And in the name attribute, let's see if that fixes that issue. There we go. So now it's working. 2, 3, drive. There we go. Cool. Alright, so our handle form change is working. So now we're going to be creating our handle form submit. So every time we click on submit, and for right now, let's just console log our customer data. Just test that out, make sure it's working. And here in our form, we're gonna do our unsubmit and point it to our handle form submit function. Submit. Alright, so let's refresh. Everything is working. Alright, so everything works. Let's hit submit. Alright, so it seems like it is working, but because it's a form, every time I hit the submit button, it refreshes the page. So for right now, we're gonna do e.prevent default. So what this is gonna do is it's gonna stop the page from refreshing every time we hit the submit button. So let's test it out again. Alright, let's hit submit. And it's working. Let's just clear this out. There we go. So now we know that our handle form submit is working as well. Alright, so now let's add our CSS. I did notice I missed a div here. So we need to add a div and add our inputs in there to get our CSS ready. So let's just copy all this, delete, and then let's just paste it inside this div. There we go. I'm just gonna indent it. There we go. So our class name for our form, let's just call it a container. And for our div that holds all our inputs, let's name it company info. to our title. Just name it title. All right, so something ain't working here. Our inputs are not formatting right. See what's going on here. Oh yeah, so I forgot to add the dot on to make it a class, because it's a class. So class. There we go. There we go. It's a lot better now. So let's add our title class. And then also our button, style that button. Okay, so we hover over a button. There we go. Then also let's make our placeholders. They're not very visible, so let's just change our color to our placeholders because it's kind of dark. All right, so now we're gonna create our list of customers. So we're gonna create a dummy data. So let's just go to our add customer, and we're gonna name it dummy data for right now with a use state. Alright, so let's put an empty array. Okay, so what we want to do is, like, every time we hit a submit button, we want to add that object into our dummy data so that we can then display it on our screen. Alright, so now let's test it out. I'm going to delete this console log. Delete this console log also right here. And then whenever we hit our submit, I'm going to console log our dummy data. Let's say submit. Alright, there we go. We have our object, company name, phone number, address, and website. When we hit it again, it should create another object. It'll continue to add an extra object. Alright, so what we did here on our handle submit form is that every time we hit on submit, it'll update our set dummy data. So what we're going to do is our previous state. So anything that's inside our dummy data, we're going to return it, which means we're going to be spreading our current data, and then we're going to be adding the current customer data that we're getting it from the customer data. All right, so now that we have our data in our dummy data, we now are going to display it. So let's just display it down here. Let's do some curly brackets. What this does, it allows us to create JavaScript in our JSX. So data map create a div. All right, so before we continue on, I just found out that we added this map method in the wrong area. We put it inside our form. We don't want it inside our form. So let's just copy that. And put it in the bottom of our form. Yes. There we go. So now we could create our div. And inside our div, we're going to create a span and a paragraph. Here we're gonna add our data. So it's gonna be customer dot company name. Okay, so it's gonna be customer and then company name. Okay, so we're gonna copy this div and then paste it 3 more times. And we're gonna do the same thing. It's gonna be a phone number. So it'll be customer.phone number. It's gonna be the address. And our website, customer.website. Okay, so there we go. As you can see, we have all of our data. So now let's just work on our CSS. Here, right here in the bottom of the form, we just add another div. And we're just gonna copy one more time. And put it inside that div. There we go. Alright, so now let's work on our CSS. Let's go to our app CSS. just gonna copy this one because it's the same thing. So background image, copy, and paste it here. There we go. Trying to see how this looks. There you go. It's looking a lot better now. We don't have no. We need some padding here on the left side. So let me just add some padding. It should be in our flex row container. So flex row container. So add padding. Let's do 15 pixels. There we go. It's a lot better. Let's just do 20. So let's go back to 15 pixels. There we go. A lot better now. There we go. Okay, there we go. So now let's add our buttons, our delete and update button. So let's go back to our add customer, and we want it inside our customer list container. So let's add another div, and we're gonna add 2 buttons. First one's gonna be update and delete. So our update button is going to stay the same. We're just going to adjust our delete button. So we're going to have to just change it a different color. So just add a class here. Call it delete button. And then go to our CSS. So on hover, we wanted to change it to like a red color. Alright, so let's just go to our server folder here real quick, and let's just get that started. We have to go back cd ... and then go into our server folder. So cd server. Alright, so first we're gonna run npm init. And then just hit enter, enter, enter. Just hit enter on all of them. And then npm install MySQL 2 Express NodeMon, and also a course. I misspelled install. Install. Alright. So you can see we go to our server folder, and then we go to our package.json. We can see that we have a course package that we installed, Express, MySQL, and NodeMon. Alright, so that completes the first part of this tutorial. I'm going to try to release the second part within the next 4 or 5 days. So please subscribe so you can get notified whenever that releases. And we're going to be going over installing Node.js with Express and connecting it to a MySQL database. And then we're going to be connecting our front end to our back end. So if you don't have a MySQL Workbench installed on your computer yet, please just search it on YouTube, how to install MySQL Workbench, and it's really easy to install it. So just install that so you can have it ready in the next video. Hope you liked this video. If you liked it, please hit the like button and leave me a comment or a question. Y'all stay safe, continue to grind, never give up, as I believe that everything is possible. See y'all in the next video. God bless.